Welcome to Deep Thought. Yeah, I'm doing a car video today. Anybody who follows my business channel who might have seen the video first, this is one of those days I had to kind of adjust my schedule, but it's all good. It's all good. As long as I have my handy dandy phone with me, I can always record a video or a podcast. Anyway, right? How the system works. I'm going to tell you what, when I talk about the system, let's just talk about the overall system that we're in. This matrix, right? It's actually a work of genius. And the few individuals that actually came up with it, and trust me, it was just a few individuals. Because if you've been following me long enough, you know, a lot of big things come from from a small group of people, right? But it's the most perfect thing ever created. It really is. Because you have a system where there's inequality, right? You know it. I mean, shoot, they'll tell you about it. It's on the evening news, right? And you have a system where that you have an aristocracy of the top 10%, right? Who get the lion's share of the resources, the money, whatever. Who live in very well. And then, of course, there's the 1%, or more specifically, the 0.1%, which is more accurate to call them, because technically, if you can make about $300,000 a year and you're 1% technically. But I'm going to be technical with this. But we know what's going on, and you've had people throughout history saying, revolution, or we can change things, we can reform things, right? But the more things change, the more they stay the same. Now I'm going to tell you why it's a work of genius. You live in a system where it doesn't really stop a talented individual from making it to the top. And in fact, I'm going to talk more about that talent thing tomorrow, right? And when I say talent, I don't necessarily mean entertainment talent or athletic talent. Again, I'll talk more about that tomorrow, right? Because I want to keep going with this theme. But more in terms of, if you have enough brains, drive, and willpower, you can make it into that 10%. You can make it into that 10% rather easily. Well, no, I ain't gonna say easily, but you can actually make it into the 10%. Now, understand something, right? And there was a movie, I think it was a scene from a movie made in the 70s called Trick Baby, right? And it was a bunch of rich whites talking about black people, and that was a period of, unrest. Black people were trying to do something, and you had the conservative one, but you had this one white. He said, no, you take the talented among them and you raise them up. You give them something, and in fact, you give them reason, not to deal with the rest of their fellows. And the thing is, that works. In fact, that's how, often people say, how come there wasn't a major rebellion that stopped slavery? Because in many cases, in many slave states, the slaves outnumbered the white population. But they were able to keep them down because, a slave, there was always an avenue other than escaping or rebelling where a slave could become a part of the system. Remember, there were a lot of black slave owners. Now, some of them just worked for their freedom and got it, right? And then you had some, and that gets into another conversation about really old black money, who they were actually part of the aristocracy down there. It was quiet as it's kept, right? But the bottom line is, you always had a situation where somebody could get their freedom. In fact, a lot of people talk about Nat Turners Revolt, right? They talk about, everybody seems to know about that one, but there was one that was actually more sophisticated. If it had happened, the history of this country would have been different. In fact, it was the sophistication of it will rival any one of these so-called terrorist organizations that we have here, or revolutionary cells. In fact, they use cell theory for people who know about that. And basically, cell theory is you have small groups, and only the leaders might know a part of the plan. So it was very sophisticated. It was organized and was going to be led by a free black named Denmark Vesey. I suggest y'all look him up. Right now, if this had succeeded, it would have changed. It would have changed the history of the country. Not if they had been able to keep a war going, or a freedom fight going for maybe 10 years at least, or at least a year. But it would have been, and it would have occurred really, if it had happened like, how long? Let's say, about 9 years before the before the Nat Turners Rebellion, right? But that rebellion never happened because a couple of house slaves betrayed the whole rebellion. And as a result of that betrayal, they actually were able to get money, freedom, all of that stuff, right? And I have to check on this. I think one of them might have became a slave owner, one of the people who betrayed it. I know they at least got their freedom. Now, this isn't about a history about slave rebellions in the United States, but just if you come to the present, a lot of times there's a lot of change that doesn't happen because I'm going to tell you the secret of how any revolution or how any change happens. People say power to the people, but it's never the people. The people are satisfied. People will live under tyranny as long as they can eat, sleep, and fuck. Yeah, I know I don't really curse on this channel, but I need to make that point. As long as they have basics taken care of, they'll do it. In this country, people will put up with a police state as long as they're not interrupted doing basics. They would. Revolutions are led, and change are led by vanguards of people. They're led by vanguards of people who manipulate the masses into doing what they want to support their program. Every single movement has a vanguard. Because if you I don't care, every ism has a vanguard. Because, and you can test this out for yourself, the masses just care about eating, sleeping, and having sex, fornicating. I'll clean it up for this channel, right? So it's usually the vanguard who wants to change something. So in that case, that could be like some kid, and it doesn't have to be a black kid, it could be a white kid. I'm seeing a lot of revolutionary white kids. Somebody born in a poor environment who look at what the aristocracy have, the 10% have, and say, hey, I want that too. But what would happen in many places, many countries other than this that don't have the same system, they wouldn't have a chance to get there. There'd be no avenues to become a part of that 10%. The genius of this system is someone of talent like that, somebody who could lead a revolution, they given a chance to move up. That's why a lot of these schools, like you see these schools and stuff, and this will go more back into the black thing, like you get like boarding schools and places like that who will reach back, right? Who will have scholarships and stuff for like maybe inner city kids or poor white kids maybe, or academic scholarships. Part of that is a systematic thing to really remove the incentive for people to change the system. Understand that, right? They will remove that incentive because, okay, this person is now part of the 10%, so they don't have any incentive to change things. Their bellies are full, they got extra money. And as I said, it's genius. It's beyond a shadow of a doubt genius. I'm like, wow. And even if you have somebody who say, you know what, I'm still gonna fight for the people. I'm gonna still do my thing, right? I'm gonna tell you what, people always talk about, well, they'll kill you or anything like that. The system is such, they'll welcome you and offer you money. They'll be like, well, what do you really want? Well, I just, you know, you want money. You want part of the pie. So they like, shoot, okay, I'm going to give that to you. Like I said, it's genius. It is genius. You know? Just like, yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I'm up here driving someplace I ain't never been before. But it is pure, it's pure genius. Right? It is pure genius. Right? Because therefore, you know, you give that person what they want, then they're not going to be the type who going to say, well, you know what? Let me overthrow this system so I can be up there. They'll become a part of the system. You know? Like, if you look at a lot of those, like, a lot of people, a lot of blacks and whites who were trying to overturn shit in the 60s, a whole lot of them Republican now. It's genius. In fact, a lot of them are conservative. You know, like Hillary Clinton supported Barry Goldwater back in the Hillary Clinton supported Barry Goldwater back in the 60s. And for anybody who actually knows the real history of the Republican Party, that was the beginning when Barry Goldwater's run for the president in 1964 was really the beginning of modern conservatism. You know, people like saying that the Republicans were the party of Lincoln. No, the Republicans were the liberals in their day. That's when the Republicans started changing, right? So you have people who, you know, well, Hillary Clinton might not be a good example, but it is an example of people change up once they get in the system and they're going for the power, right? So the system is perfect because all he has to do is offer a person enough incentive and they ain't gonna want to change it. You know, we can talk about stuff like universal basic income, universal health care and stuff, as long as we don't have to pay for it. But you put somebody up there, you give them enough money, give them enough status, all of a sudden they just as conservative. Like, there's a lot of people voting for Trump who ain't necessarily like evangelicals or white nationals. Quiet as it's kept, there's a lot of conservative business people voting for him because they making out like bandits. So understand that. That's what makes the system just perfect. So anyway, right? That's it for now. I gotta go in here. I gotta check out other health clubs. I'm getting kind of static at the gym that I'm at. I mean, I'll keep a membership there because I train my sons there, but I need something else. So anyway, I'm gonna go do this thing in here. Anyway, I'll talk to y'all. Peace.